Ho ho ho! I hope you guys have been good units and not bad ones this year. As a gift, this video today is about the Christmas Cavaliers archetype across the Fire Emblem series. We will discuss them game by game and how they've evolved across the years. We will not be covering Tokyo Mirage Sessions and any other Kaga games that aren't Fire Emblem. Sorry, those are on the naughty list. To start off, let's look at FE1, Shadow Dragon, and its remake. We have Cain and Abel. Cain and Abel are basically two calves that come in the beginning of the game, Chapter 1. Abel is more focused on speed, and Cain is more focused on strength. This is just the general archetype that's followed across the series, but it doesn't necessarily continue like this until the end of this list. It's also important to note that in the remake, Abel actually has Lance D rank, which is something that greatly contributes for the Christmas Cavs to be able to utilize javelins right off the bat. And more often than not, the Cavalier that comes with Lance D is the one that you're going to wind up using just because it can use javelins for chip damage. In FE2 Gaiden, you really don't see which ones they are. However, later on in Shadows of Valentia, they did a little play on this, and the Christmas Cavaliers can be interpreted as Lucas and Forsyth because of their red and green armor respectively. Lucas comes earlier, has a higher defense growth and HP, and Forsyth has slightly better base stats but a higher speed growth and strength. Lucas seems to focus more on the physical tankiness aspect of it, while Forsyth has a better option for a more aggressive general. The interesting part is that none of them are Cavs. However, they do maintain that archetype of being two of the same class and a little bit different between each other on Alm's route. Mystery of the Emblem, and new Mystery of the Emblem. We actually have Luke and Roderick. Luke joins in the prologue for the remake as well, having higher strength and base speed, higher strength and HP growths, being the physical combatant of them both. And Roderick has a Lance D, better skill and speed and luck growths. Again, Roderick having access to Lance D is very, very good. So sometimes people will reclass Luke into a more physical class that only wields swords to take advantage of that, something like a Myrmidon or a Mercenary. Important to note is that Cain and Abel also come back in this game. However, they're so far apart, and they're completely different at this point, that they're not really considered the Christmas Cavs of this game. In FE4, we have Alec and Noish, largely considered to be some of the worst units of the first generation. Alec does have better skills in the form of Nihil and Pursuit, which allows him to double, but not a really good physical stat for combat. Noish has better strength and better physical growths in general, but he has pretty bad skills, or at least skills that depend on a more specific niche for usage. Alec can be considered a good father by giving away Nihil and Pursuit, while Noish gives better physical growths in general. Overall, Alec is better suited to be a father for units that can't have access to the Pursuit naturally, and Noish is better for physical units that prefer the physical growths itself. FE5. This is where I'm going to take a little bit of a liberty. Some people like to say that there are no Christmas Cavs in FE5. I think we haven't read between the lines enough. Right off the bat, you get two Axe Bros, which you would think would be a combination of Barst, Board, and Cord. But the truth is, one of them is tanky, physical, and the other one is fast, with a focus on a skill. Where have I seen these before? Halvan comes with the Brave Axe and Vantage, has better physical starting points, a more physical set with no access to 1-2 range. But Ocean comes with speed, wrath, and a 1-2 range weapon. I could say that even though it's a little bit on a stretch, I do strongly feel that Halvan and Ocean are actually just a different aspect of the Christmas Cavaliers in this game. Just like how Lucas and Forsyth were in Shadows of Valentia as well. In FE6, you get a more traditional approach, having again Alan and Lance. And he has D rank in Lances. But he is the Cavalier that focuses on speed, while Alan focuses on strength. Alan does have an opportunity to have a better support chain, just because he has the fire support, which is very powerful in the start, giving more damage. I do, however, prefer Lance once again, solely because of the D rank Lance opportunity, allowing him to use javelins at base and chip damage. But both of them are very good units. In Fire Emblem 7, something strange happens. They suddenly decide to flip the values of the red and the green Cavaliers. Instead of the red traditionally focusing on strength and the green focusing on speed, they swap it around. And now Kent comes in with better speed and more of that speed type growth archetype, while Sane comes in with higher strength, also comes with D-lances. Unfortunately for Kent, the speed threshold to double enemies in this game is not very high, meaning that even if Sing doesn't get that many levels, he still will outspeed the majority of characters within the game, and is therefore a better candidate to bring up and level up. But let's be honest, Marcus is there just to show them really who's boss. In FE8, the trend continues with Ford and Kyle. Kyle is only 1 point of speed behind, and both have C and lances. However, Kyle has a lot more strength. He also has better con, which allows him to wield the stronger weapons. Ultimately, the Red Cavalier in this case kinda lost his shine. In FE9 and FE10, we see them switch back, with Kieran focusing on more strength and defense, and Oscar focusing on skill and speed. And you don't get access to both of them immediately. Oscar comes earlier as part of the Grail Mercenaries, and Kieran is released from the dungeon later. Because of that, it's hard to say that they're actually the same archetype as Christmas Cavaliers, but since one of them focuses on skill speed and the other one focuses on strength and defense mostly, they can still be considered under this archetype. In Radiant Dawn, they come back, and it's the same scenario, being across different story points, but still focusing on those same stats. Some like to argue that Titania is actually the Red Cavalier and Oscar is the green one in Radiant Dawn, but I don't really agree with this, because Titania is in a league ahead and can pretty much assist in the portions that she's in such a way that neither Oscar nor Kieran can. We have another switcheroo coming up. Sully, the Red Knight, focusing more on speed, having 2 more points at base, and Stahl, the physical one, focusing more on strength attributes. Ironically enough, Stahl is the green one, but this is one of the first times that the green hasn't really been associated with lances having D, and Stahl instead has lance E, focusing more on the sword. As a general trend, it appears that whichever the physical one is, they tend to focus more on sword types, and whichever the skill speed based one is, tends to focus more on lance ones. Sully and Stahl also have a very interesting concept in which they can actually pair up with units for the first time in Fire Emblem. In Fire Emblem Fates, we have another switcheroo. This time, the Cavaliers come as a different class entirely. Kaze coming in as a green ninja, being really fast. His special technique allows him to save the main character based off luck from lethal damage. Saizo comes in as the more physical one, better strength and defense stats, with the personal that also does damage to himself and other people if he falls below a specific threshold. Overall, both the ninjas are very good, but they do retain that aspect of physical versus speed focused characters. Kaze comes a little bit earlier, meaning he's a little bit easier to train, but Saizo is very good as well in his own right, and is a great father to multiple different characters. In Fire Emblem 3 Houses, this is where it gets a little tricky. There isn't quite a specific cavalier that you could say is red or green for all of this, given that each household has a different cavalier with them. We have Leone, Ferdinand, and Sylvain as the token 3 cavaliers for each one of the houses. Also throw in there Lawrence. However, if I had to pick 2 of them to be that aspect of green and red, I definitely think it comes down to Sylvain and Ferdinand. And I'll explain my reasoning here. Ferdinand is a physical class focus with Great Knight as his end goal, given his hidden talent in armor. Sylvain has better strength, higher offensive stats right off the bat, but he has reason as a hidden talent, meaning he's more of the offense focused character. Sylvain is great in a class like Dark Knight, which actually takes advantage of both of his physical and magical prowess, along with his pretty good magical spell set. Ferdinand is just more of a physical unit in general. Later on, if he can manage to just dink off from enemies, he can keep his personal active at all times and has access to the brutal swift strikes technique. I know it's not traditional, I'm going to take a little bit of a liberty here and say that for me, in 3 houses, Ferdinand and Sylvain represent the red and the green knight, respectively. Even though Sylvain has better offensive stats right off the bat, his focus is more on magical classes or on hit and run classes, as opposed to Ferdinand, who takes the more physical approach with the heavier classes in general. Last but not least, we have Fire Emblem Engage, with, again, another switch up in the classes. We have Clan and Fram, the dual protectors of the Divine Dragon that you meet right off the bat in the game. Clan is the mage, which has a really lopsided growth towards speed and strength, ironically enough. Fram, however, is focused more on the healing aspect of it, being a martial monk at the beginning of the game. Now, I gotta be honest here, this kind of throws it for a loop, because she's not really the red, strong archetype that we're looking at. However, if you do combo her with Erica, we're looking at quads of true damage that can absolutely tear through anybody. But this isn't unique to her, as it is more a combination of quadding and Erica being a very powerful tool due to the true damage and Lunar Brace combined. I do really like the fact that they switched up class archetype in Fire Emblem Engage and gave you basically the magical versions of them, with one focusing on speed and the other one a more supportive role as in Fram. That's been my complete rundown of all the Christmas Cavaliers archetype throughout the Fire Emblem games today. I want to thank you guys so much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed this Christmas special. I enjoyed making it. Please leave a like and subscribe. Let me know what you thought about it. Let me know if you agree with my choices. And comment down below, what do you think? Do you think that the Cavaliers are wrong? Do you think the Cavaliers are right? Do you like this archetype? It really does help. And you guys have a wonderful Christmas.